So, George, I want to pick at something or ask you a follow up on something you said. So, you going through some of Ohio State's results on the season, right?
Mhm.
You talk teams have sort of put them on the floor early, or they've been in the muck, right? They don't want to
Mhm.
be there. They can go there, but they don't want to be there.
Correct.
That's exactly what Michigan wants to do, though,
Correct.
right? So is that something like schematically that maybe, this is not Urban Meyer's Ohio State anymore. It's there's a lot of things that look similar,
Right.
but that mental burden of just, oh, we own you guys. That's not there anymore after what
No,
happened last season.
that's gone. That's gone. And to me, a UFC fighter versus a great boxer, and you could use whatever method you want to come in here and use. This is where you could sit around and think, boy, if this or if that. Michigan has built itself because styles make fights. They have built themselves into the antidote of what is Ohio State. We're going to be the exact opposite. And we have seen that in college and pro football this year. Big time, high flying offenses, Felder, they can get choked out by a team going
Yeah.
on a slow, surging attack down the field,
Mhm.
very methodical, just draining the life out of the clock. And all your weaponry is safe and sound, but sitting on the sideline. You have no effect.
Right.
Ohio State's front seven hasn't seen 18 play drives this year, 16 of them being on the ground. They haven't seen that. Michigan did this to Penn State. They bludgeoned them to death, and they end in touchdowns. They don't just nick a field goal at the end of this stuff. It always usually ends in 6. And then to make matters worse, a lot of these runs can spring for 40, 50, 55 yards. They can hit home runs rushing the ball. It is going to be interesting. The only real question is if Michigan falls behind by 2 touchdowns, it negates their whole style of play. You
Yeah.
don't you don't have that gear to downshift and go catch them. So as long as they can kind of stay in front of Ohio State, yeah, they can take this 12 rounds.
Well, that's a big if, right? And this is the thing that I've been bothered by. Time of possession it's a garbage stat. If you just keep having the ball for a long time, but you don't do anything with it, like what are you even doing? It's
Right.
it's useless. If especially when the other team can score in, I don't know, 36 seconds, or they can score in 72 seconds. And
If they could score in that time, though.
sure, but that's a reality. Are we not going to pretend like that's not the reality with Ohio State?
It is, but again, you pointed out Northwestern locked them down for three
Yeah.
quarters.
But
Indiana,
I don't think that they got locked down in those games. I think they were working on things.
Mm.
And I said that on the show. I think in the Northwestern game, they knew that when they wanted to open it up, they could open it up, but they were working on running the football, figuring out who was going to be their go-to running back. They were working on something. The same thing goes for when they were playing. You mentioned Indiana, but they were working on things. We have to if they would have just opened up their full complement of offense against Northwestern, they would have just scored 50 points.
And I got to say, I feel the same towards Michigan. People have been kind of chirping about McCarthy and grumbling about him. They're not going to open up that passing game. They're not going to truly show you what they are because Michigan felt their last couple weeks, we should be able to win this with jabs and hooks. Don't show combos.
Got it.
So you're right. I think they think that about the opposite one. I'm
and
100% with you.
We're on two different sides of that coin because I think they can't do it and they won't do it.
You don't think Michigan can or will?
No, I don't. I saw it from Georgia. I see Michigan, and I don't think that they can or will do it. We saw drops. We saw miscommunications in the passing game just from Saturday. We saw drops. We saw miscommunications. We saw errant throws. We saw all three of those things. So it was a quarterback and a wide receiver problem. And I don't think that that's something that is easily fixed as an Ohio State team that's like, you know what? I guess we're just going to run smash and mesh.
Well, then that'll be on the Michigan offensive staff.
Yes.
Because you've had 12 months
Sure.
to strengthen and solidify that part of your game. We all know what you lead with, but the secondary part of your offense, that has to come on. And of all the heavyweight teams, I don't think anybody has a stronger lead hand in Michigan's run game, but also I don't think anybody has a stronger secondary attack than Michigan's passing. Everybody else seems to like somehow, some way have both functional, right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Right.
Yep.
Speaking of functional, Greg, I know we got to do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, let's jump in. And by the way, just quickly, we set the lines up to -8. Producer Trevor dug this up for us. It was -7 last week. So it's only jumped a point with the injury, which surprises me a little bit. But let's get to